back. I don't know why I had to narrate the boom shot, but for some reason that felt absolutely essential in that moment. Usually, if you are familiar with this program at all, you will know that I have no shortage of words. And of course, when I'm watching moving films that absolutely send my brain into reveries, I talk a lot. And then we have Killing Ground, this morning's film that we're going to discuss that I'm a little bit speechless about. Fortunately, we have 5 members of the production of, I'm not going to use any genre title whatsoever. In the weirdest way possible, this film will make you feel very, very alive. Damien Power is a first-time filmmaker. He is writer and director of this film, and I'm joined by Aaron Glenane, Maya Stang, Joe, and Lisa Shaughnessy and Joe Weatherstone, and I managed to more or less get them right. There's no offense meant for the producers being in the back row, by the way, but
we're used to it.
Welcome you all. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having us.
What an accomplishment. Talk about the film, talk about the genesis of the idea as the writer for this film.
Yeah, well there were a few things actually. I had this image of an orange tent just kind of pop into my head, this tent in the middle of the bush with nobody around. So I started thinking about what happened to the people in the tent, where were they? And that was kind of the genesis of the idea of the story. And plus, I think everyone's had that experience. Maybe if you've gone camping in the wilderness in an isolated spot, you start to feel very alone. So I could kind of tap into some of those camping experiences. And I kind of wanted to make the sort of film that I like to see, which was a kind of character-driven, we're not going to talk genre terms, but survival thriller.
There we go, survival thriller. I like
yeah.
that. That feels fresh. It feels appropriately descriptive.
Yeah. So all of those things kind of came together in the writing of the film. Yeah.
And I know this is kind of a trope, but the fact that the Outback, and which is a thing that, especially here in the States, is a kind of a fuzzy idea, and I don't think we necessarily have any real appreciation for the size of this one-term thing/place.
Yeah.
And I will say that for my part, in seeing the film poster, and that it was much more of a wooded, didn't necessarily look so different than where we are in the Uinta Mountains, for example. A little bit of a resetting, I think, maybe for a lot of audiences. But talk about that thing of the loneliness, we're not that far away from civilization, but we're very far away from civilization.
Yeah, that's right. And the bush environment is a very important sort of part of the film, and a real kind of character unto itself. And I think there's actually a tradition of Australian films about kind of white Australians feeling a sense of unease in their own backyard. Right from Picnic at Hanging Rock through to Wolf Creek. And
right.
I think this is fits in the line of those films. Yeah.
Aaron and Maya, talk a little bit as performers in front of the camera about similarities and differences in just being on a film set, where I'm sure the camaraderie was fantastic, as it always is on a film set. It's a very special thing. But when the film rolls and action is called, this is a very, very intense storyline. Talk about your experiences with serving that kind of a story.
Well, Aaron Pedersen and myself, we started shooting about a week and a half after these guys had begun production. And it was funny when we turned up, because we saw a couple of people and it was a really sort of family vibe, and everyone was in a really good mood. And then Aaron and I had just met each other, and we spent the night discussing where our characters' point of views were coming from and justifying all our actions and really getting into the headspace. And we turned up on set the next day and everyone was in a really good mood, and I'd just shaved my head in this really matted kind of gross kind of way, and Aaron and I turned up on set, and then everyone was like, "Oh, this is the film we're making." I think it was a kind of a rom-com before we got there.
We were in a love bubble.
You're in a love bubble.
We were creating our relationships with the family, and everyone was so sweet. And then I remember actually the first time I met you, we were staying at the same motel. It was a really dodgy little scary motel on the side of the highway. And I had to drop the call sheets over to you and Aaron, do you remember? And we kind of knocked on the door. It was me and Julian, who plays my husband. and we could just hear this loud music and kind of like yelling voices from inside, and the room was just oozing this kind of evil already. And we opened the door. You guys were so wild. They were totally in their own zone, creating their relationship, and we felt like we were getting a taste of the actual relationship we had in the movie. It was like, whoa, these guys
Method
are
moments.
scary. And that was really helpful. But they were very nice in between takes.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's an odd dichotomy in
They were very nice.
Yeah.
I'm in character, I'm out of character.
Yeah.
I'm in character, I'm out of
They
character.
would do that lovely thing of coming in like, you're okay, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I'm about to do this thing, but I don't mean it.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't need any help from you right now.
Yeah.
We're about ready to
But
play
it
this
wasn't
scene.
hard to act opposite those guys because they do an amazing job.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Before I ask a couple of questions of Lisa and Joe, should we take a look at this important trailer? You had to include the baby. But there is a moment, and there is some foreboding that is growing a little bit to that moment, to that frame in the trailer, and then it's like, oh, okay, now I'm up for another hour. That being said, I have to ask, ladies, congratulations. Thank you for your excellent work. You make it all possible, and I appreciate that we're able to include producers on our conversations
So exciting,
here.
yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. Talk about the challenges of this particular production and the things that you had to plan early, and also maybe the things that came up as they always do once you got out and into the shoot.
And I think, I actually think because of the material, one of the challenges definitely was looking after the cast a little bit, because obviously we had, Maya at one point has a scene where she really gets into such a state where we're all actually a little bit worried about her. Is she going to come out of that okay? And we have a small child who was played by twins, and Tiani Copeland, who plays Em, the teenage girl. So there's quite a lot of, it's off-screen violence, but there's still a lot of torment and torture. And so I think one of the challenges was just, making sure that people were looked after and taken care of in a way that they could, they were safe, they felt safe. And of course, these guys helped a lot, because even though they were the baddies and doing most of the evil stuff, they really did just turn off in between takes and, make sure that their cast members were okay. And, and I felt like we had to look after them a bit too, because they had to go places that aren't, comfortable places, hopefully.
Scrub myself with a wire brush.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, the cast were extraordinary. But aside from looking after them, there was all sorts of, difficulties. We had pigs, children,
Rain. Lots of rain.
So outside for 4 weeks of a 5-week shoot, and it rained for 3. So, Damien was rewriting on set to kind of accommodate.
And did you all have a sense, as kind of one step removed from the actual content production, did you have a sense during the shoot, like, we got something really good here, we've got a crew of people, and rewrites and those kinds of things, things that have exigencies notwithstanding,
Well,
that you're going in the right direction?
There's a shot in the film that I'm not going to talk about because it's too big a spoiler, but it was one of the reasons that I wanted to do the film. I thought, if I can get this shot, then I've got a film. And we got the shot. And when that happened, I thought, okay, yes,
We have something,
We
yeah.
have some magic here.
But also just performance,
Yeah.
sells everything. And once
Absolutely.
I saw these guys in their rushes, you knew it wasn't going to fall down in performance. So
Yeah.
it's half the battle.
And I would think that has to be because everyone is experienced in film, and yet it's the ultimate put it together in the moment in casting and producing a film. And now you're making a strong statement. It's like a comedy movie. 97% of a comedy movie is not enough. That's a movie that ends up not being funny. And in this case, if you're attempting to thrill or scare or even torment a little bit the audience, there's a very high bar and it's a high wire act in terms of are we getting that done? Are we
Yeah.
not? Was that a sense that you had in this?
Yeah, and I think
instance?
Yeah, I think you've really got to give people an experience in the theatre,
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
and I think people are going to have an experience with this film. It's a very visceral experience. I've seen it with audiences, and people get vocal, which has been amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I guess we should probably get going because you guys have other stuff to do, and we've got another interview that we've got to do here. But we should talk about screenings and all the important stuff so that people here at the festival can connect with the film.
Yeah, so we're at the Egyptian Theatre tonight at midnight, which is fantastic. Screening again tomorrow at 1, then in Salt Lake City at midnight, and again midnight on Thursday back here in Park City.
Excellent. And social media for the film?
So there's a Killing Ground Facebook page you can find, and Killing Ground Instagram feed. So.
Very good. Does anybody else want to shout out their Snapchat handles or anything like that? It's really the year of social media, so I don't know if anybody's trying to push their following over 1 million.
Not yet.
After Sundance, for sure. Well, thank you all very much for being here. Congratulations. I can't wait to see the film myself. I'm kind of glad that I didn't see the film before this interview. I might be a little bit terrified of this one down here.
I'm glad we met prior to. Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
And
totally.
Damien, I'd be terrified of Damien.
Well, we certainly appreciate it, and I'm certain that you're going to have a rollicking good time at the festival with the reactions that I'm sure will be among a group of crazy mad film fans who want to be terrified and want to be tormented.
And that's one of the best things about the midnight audiences too. You know, people that turn up at midnight, they're committed.
That's right.
You know?
That's right.
Yeah.
Even though they're not genre specific,
Yeah.
they're turning up for the film.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you all so very much. Have a
Thank
wonderful
you.
experience at Sundance,
Yeah.
and we will see you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Okay, you guys, quick break. Wendy is back. We are continuing on. It's Sundance on Park City Television.